Hello and welcome to this week's episode of War Games Geek. On the table this week I have a Star Wars AT-ST, or Scout Walker as I called it as a kid, and this is from the Star Wars Imperial Assault box set that I bought recently. And what I've done here is I've gone ahead and I've primed the whole model with uniform grey from the Army Painter range of paints. Now the blaster cannons on the front there, they are movable, so as the primer dries, I've just repositioned them a couple of times just to ensure that the paint doesn't stick the cannons in place and they can't be moved in the future. So the next stage then is to go over the whole model with a heavy dry brush of ash grey. And now at this stage what I haven't done is I haven't fixed the legs to the feet just to make it easier for me to get in with the dry brush. And what I'm doing here then, I'll just put it back on put it back in there for now so you can see what I'm talking about. So what we're doing here is we're literally going over the whole model, nice heavy dry brush, and what we're doing is we're going over this with the lighter grey, ash grey is lighter than the uniform grey, and we're going over all of it apart from sort of like the deepest recesses, if you like. And you can just about make that out on the video there. And what we'll do is I'll just move it around, just have a good look around, make sure I haven't missed any parts there. I've still got the brush in my hand in case there's any other bits to do, and I've noticed a little bit on the top that needs a little bit of a dry brush. So that's that. Now what I'm going to do with this is it can be a little bit sort of flat if we don't add a bit of colour to it. Now as I said before, I'm going to use some of the strong tone on this one as well, and what I'm also going to do is a bit of weathering, so just sort of some rust and bits like that just to give it a little bit of colour, otherwise it'll be fairly flat. So there we are, so just spinning that round and just showing you all of the area that I've done. So as I say, that was a flat primer of uniform grey, and then just a heavy dry brush over most of the model, actually just trying to get into all of that with some ash grey. So I've now painted in the weapons, and they're just done in a very dark grey. Now that's a mix of sort of 50-50 mix of a couple of drops of matte black and a couple of drops of uniform grey to bring up that really dark colour, and that does contrast quite nicely against the actual model itself. So just zooming in there so you can see what I'm talking about. So yeah, just give it a sort of bit of the weapons stand out a bit more now. So I'm just going to show you around the model again, so looking at it from the top just to give you a bit of an idea what I was talking about. I don't think the light's particularly great, but that's the sort of contrast between the uniform grey and then that sort of heavy dry brush that you can see, and it looks quite good on the legs and feet there. Hopefully it comes out quite well in the video. So that's where we're at. So we've done the base uniform grey, the ash grey heavy dry brush, and then that mix of 50-50 of uniform grey and matte black for the weapons. And now what I'm doing is I'm just going over the top. I'm using a dry brush for this, and I want to get in as much as I can. I'm just trying to pick out all of the weapons, and I'm using plate mail metal for that. So you don't want to paint it. It is a dry brush, not a technique I use normally because I use the quick shade, but I'm going to do that as well as some sort of shading for this particular model. Okay, I'll carry on with that, and just want to take a moment to ask those of you that are watching the video and haven't already subscribed, please consider doing so. I do upload new content every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. I try to answer all of the questions and feedback and comments that I get, so I'd love to have you on board. Okay, that's the shameless plug out the way. So here we are then. So that's the weapons on either side there, heavy dry brush, and the sort of main blasters. I've more sort of a paint job on those rather than dry brushed, just to give a sort of bit of difference in the weapons. So once that's all dried off, and this is the important bit here, we do need to let it completely dry. What I need to do next is to quick shade the model. Now this is obviously too big to fit in the tin of quick shade. You can see it on the side there on the left. So what I've done is I've brushed it on, and I've given it all time to dry off. Now it does come up with quite a shiny finish, and again, like I did when I primed the model, is I need to make sure that I move those guns from time to time, otherwise they will stick and they'll be difficult to move in the future. So yeah, I used a large brush for this just to get that the quick shade on, and need to leave that for 24 to 48 hours to dry. So it seems a bit of a shame because I've done a bit of highlighting, but it will look great again because I'm going to again highlight this once it's all dried off. So as I say, 24 to 48 hours, leave that to dry, let it all, when you're brushing it on, just make sure you get it into all the recesses, just it gives it that bit of extra depth. So now it's all dry, just show you what I've done. I've just gone over everything again with the ash grey dry brush, gone over all of the model, apart from the weapons. So I'm leaving the weapons, I'll do those separately with a different colour, but you can see now how it's got a bit of a worn and dirty look to it. Yeah, so that's where we're at. Just going to turn it round and show you the back of the model and on the top as well, so where all that quick shader's gone in, and I think it looks pretty decent and sort of battle worn. So I said about adding a bit of colour to the model, and what I've done here is I've used lava orange, and that's an army painter paint, and what I've done here is I've dry brushed that on just to give the sort of appearance of rust across the model. So I've a bit more on the back, keep finding bits of fluff everywhere, not too sure where that's from. Another bit there, just get rid of that. So that's what I've done with the model so far, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to need to get some matte varnish on it so that it isn't quite so shiny, and I've got a couple of, you can either put it on by can of matte varnish, which is what I'm going to do with this one, or of course you can paint it on. You can get it in little bottles to paint on as well, just to take that shine off. Also, what needs to be done is I need to get a base on it. So what I've done here is I've added some PVA glue to the base, and then I've put that into some sand and grit just to give that a start of the base. And the model has now had a coat of matte varnish spray. So that's it at the moment. I just need to leave that off to dry. So I'll just zoom into the base there. So what I'll do with this is I'll paint the whole base with sort of very dark brown, like a chocolate brown colour. It's just a cheap paint that I picked up from B&M, local store. It's a bit cheaper to buy the bigger tubs of paint for bases, I find, rather than using all your sort of a whole bottle on a small number of miniatures. So that's that. And then what I've done is I've added some static grass and some grass tufts to the base. So let's just spin it around and just show you the sort of rust on the back, so and on the sort of legs as well. So that's the figure all done, and he's ready to go on the table. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you found it useful and informative. Just zoom in on the base there. And as always, thanks for watching.